next part, third part, is there are acupuncture points that have observable reactions. So classically, they would have talked about maybe something like lung 9. It tonifies lung qi. Now, how did they know that? How did they know that? So they would have known that two ways. First, how the patient was improving from using that point, how their lung qi, their energy, but also they would have observed it through the pulse. So they feel the pulse strengthening. Tonifying is a word like strengthening, like taking a tonic. Yeah. So more vitality, more qi, more energy. There is then lung 5, for example, is good like in cases of asthma. Can't spell asthma, right? Something like that. So, how did they know? They observed the reaction from using that point. So this is how we've started to see points being categorized. Yeah?
Yeah.
However, which is valid, but I need you to think more of, when you're beginning, if you're massaging, is where is the most reactive point? Where is the point that feels tender? Because any point that's more tender has a qi stagnant or a blockage. Yeah? Tender, qi stagnant, and there's blockages. Okay? So while these points help, and they definitely help when we come to practice internal medicine, which would be things like IBS, maybe fertility, maybe, I don't know, let me think, maybe things like chronic pulmonary issues, things like that. So we can use it for we can use point prescriptions for internal medicine if we want. But when you're working first with a person, is find the reactive areas, work with those. They will help the person a lot more. When we're doing Tuina, you'll find a lot of your patients, their upper back is quite kyphotic, and the lower back is lordotic. I don't even know if there are even words. Lordosis, kyphosis. It's this idea of, this is the mountain and this is the valley, right? So we naturally want a curve in the spine, but we don't want this. We don't want an excess. This is excessive. And this is deficient. So you have this excess yang energy, deficient yin energy. Yeah? You have this imbalance. So the very basic level, you're trying to take this and turn it more into this. Does that make sense? That's why we do a lot of back treatments in Tuina. The spine is considered a transmitter and receiver of qi. What's something else I was going to say? There are meridians between the meridians. There are meridians between the meridians. They're just not mapped in TCM. Okay? In some classical systems, there's 72 meridians. And you only have to learn, 12 ordinary, 8 extraordinary. But in some systems, you have to learn 72. So be thankful. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, because we take this kind of classic model. There's whole areas of the body with no channels. That's not right. You're telling me that there's no qi flows through here?
Yes, it is.
Of course it does. all these is the ones that have been mapped because they're considered like the M50 or the N7 or the M4 if you live in Ireland. It's like the major highway of chi, and where you can access it. There are also meridians or channels, vessels really, we should call them that are inside the body that you can't access. And so we use these 8 extraordinary meridians, vessels. They sit inside, deep inside the body, like a storage vessel, like a jar, like a cylinder of energy. And we access those through external points. So it's like we're getting to the wiring through the plug socket,
yeah.
you know, the switch, yeah. So part of the third year's homework will be to look at the eight extraordinary, because they can be used to access much deeper energy, primal energy that, because interestingly, the extraordinary flows are the first meridians created. They're the first ones because you start, ding, and then the little squiggly thing goes, and then you go, ding, first meridian, and ding. Oh, we've got 4 meridians now. Now we have an organism, a multicellular organism. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So this would be called then blastocyst. You know, so highly differentiated, turning into a human or a woman. So it's that idea of these extraordinary vessels are developed like the red and the dew are developed from this separation from 1 into 2. Yeah? Because the first meridian that's created, the governor of all yin, the governor of all yang. Makes sense, right? And everything comes from that. Very interesting, it's not really talked about in bodywork therapy, but if you have pain on the spine, on somebody's spine, you can treat like the sternum here or down this vessel. Yeah. If you think about sometimes when you've massaged people, you have someone with a sore right neck and you go to the left side and it's tight.
Yeah.
They don't feel any pain. But then, you go to that side, they go, holy Jesus, that's worse. But I don't feel it. Because on this side it's tight and it's challenged, but it's this side that has the chi blockage. So if you're thinking about acupuncture, think of yourself as an electrician using physics to move plus and minus around the body. If you're doing bodywork therapy, as a Tuina practitioner, you begin with moving blood, which moves chi. And then later on, as you advanced, you then start to look at the points. That's what takes your from Tuina to Tuina medicine. Yeah, you're starting to incorporate your ability to diagnose, looking at the body, the face, the tongue, the pulse, the same as an acupuncturist, but then you're starting to utilize the power of points. And that's why when people start with me, I start with Tuina first and then send them to acupuncture. Because they have enough confidence to do acupuncture without having to think about, I can palpate this and boom, oh yeah, I found it, boom. Okay? So, to finish this off, the next thing to understand, one of the very simplest forms of treating people is using because we're this ekiwo, all the information about your foot or your hand or your spine could be
on the ear.
on the ear. I can treat, this might be a bit rude, but I can treat women's ovaries by needling around their eyes.
Because they look like a...
Because the eyes are the
like
ovaries. This is the
You,
vagina.
Oh.
This is the perineum. So when you've pregnant ladies where they've torn their perineum, boom, boom, boom.
So it's here or
And
just around?
so that, yeah, palpate. So at a very, very basic level, anatomical similarity. In other words, a healthy tendon will treat an unhealthy tendon if it has a similar anatomical structure. Yes? A healthy elbow will treat an unhealthy knee because it's a similar anatomical structure. A healthy wrist will treat an unhealthy ankle. So if you, at the very basis, if you grasp this, you get that in your head, you can build everything off the back of that. Because you know in an ankle, how many meridians run through the ankle?
5, 6,
6. 3 yin, 3 yang. Once you know that, you go, okay, where's the pain? Oh, it's more on the yin side. Or I could do the outside of the ankle, or I could do the opposite wrist and find where the most tender point, like you did with me the other day with my foot. You managed to go, oh, anatomical similarity, the pain's on top of my foot, let's go to the opposite hand on top of the hand. That will work. You could have palpated around and gone, no, I don't feel anything. Let's try this hand then on the same side. Don't feel anything. Okay, let's turn this hand over on this side. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So it's the yin side of your hand is better for treating the yang side of my foot on the opposite side. You have to investigate. People think, oh, I've got to use this system because it says it in the book. No, go and investigate and find out what system works. The principles in Chinese medicine for diagnosis are inquiry, observation, smelling, touching, tasting sometimes, tone of voice, yeah, palpation, pulse, tone, but also palpation, like finding out. That's part of your diagnosis. You don't stand back with a tie and a suit on going, I think I'll do this. You need to get your hands in there. You know? I used to say to some of my friends, you know, if you go to see an acupuncturist and he walks through the door in a tie and a suit, turn around, walk out. Because it looks nice, but he's not going to get his hands dirty, or she, if they're wearing a suit and tie. You want someone who's a bit more dynamic. I mean, obviously, that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't wear them if we're doing presentations or we're presenting ourselves in a certain manner. But generally, like, you want someone who gets in there. So that's the end of my big long rant. Thank you for watching. Ciao.